Good evening. Welcome to Mal Magazine. Are you ready for more drawing pictures? I'm so ready for more drawing pictures. This is coming along so great, and I love how this video is working too, and I want to share more with you. Alright, so this is Latchkey and Ladybug, part 3 of the drawing process. Part 4 of the whole process. Part 1 was the construction, remember? Alright, good. I got a little bit of housekeeping to take care of here, and then we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna talk about this picture, and we're gonna continue talking about how I learned to draw in prison, particularly drawing for God and dealing with fear. Oh, it's going to be very interesting. But I got some housekeeping. All right, so this is it. I want to talk about all the tools I haven't yet talked about. And right now you see me using a white charcoal pencil. I haven't talked about that yet. Let me talk about it now. I do believe it's just a General's white charcoal. I've looked for decent white charcoal. They're all pretty much the same. So I just got a General's, which is like cheap, easy, good. All right, cool. Works great. The thing about white charcoal pencils is that they are wax based. Okay, so in the very first drawing video, I said when it comes to pencils, you got graphite and charcoal. Well, that's not entirely true, of course. I wasn't thinking of everything. All colored pencils are pretty much wax based. I don't know for certain. I'll have to look online to find out. But pretty much every single colored pencil is wax based. And even when you get a white charcoal pencil, you might think it's going to be powdery like a charcoal pencil, and it's not. It's got a wax in it, and that's okay. You just have to acknowledge this and accept it, because it'll behave differently on the paper than your other charcoal pencils. So it has a value in this sense, but it's also different. So one value is, real quickly, because it's wax based, the dust will go right over it. And you can put a white line down and it'll stay white, even if you smudge all kinds of charcoal over it. Now, not perfectly, it'll get a little gray, but because the wax is there, you can put another layer of white right on top of your white, and it'll for the most part, as long as you don't have enough, you don't have a whole lot of black underneath, you can get a nice opaque black line. But if you smudge that wax with that charcoal mix, you might get a weird discoloration. You just got to be careful with it and work with it. All right, so white charcoal pencils, that's what you got. They're wax based, just deal with it. We're not even getting to the Ladybug today, guys. There's going to be a part 4 of the drawing, just to do all the footage that I've got here. When we get to the Ladybug, you'll notice I'm using colored pencils. They're pastel based. They're kind of powdery. We won't talk about them now, but just know there's other tools I'm using, just like those colored pencils that we'll get to in the next one. So stay tuned. Now, rulers. You're going to see me here use this small little ID that has been covered in blue painter's tape. It'll show up from time to time. Just keep your eyeballs out for it. There it is, right there. Oh, there it is. If the timing on my audio is correct, it just showed up just right there. And at any rate, it is an old ID, and that's something I learned in prison. An ID, man, we use that for everything. We were cutting up our vegetables and our sausages and cheese to make our sandwiches and pizzas and burritos. It had a hard plastic edge, and it's straight, and it's pocket-sized. It's a really good-sized ruler. I recommend a ruler that size. And if you go to a drafting store, you'll find that people have already discovered this. There are rulers that size. Drafting table stuff. Just look for it. You'll find one. So yeah, small little handheld, square, rectangular rulers are great. And willow sticks. I want to talk about them too. Okay, you're going to see them from time to time. They put down a really dark color to begin with, and then they're super easy to move around. They are the softest charcoal adding tool that I use. There's one right there. Again, if the timing is right with my audio, you just would have seen one right there. So what a willow stick is, and I don't know for certain, but I'm pretty sure a willow stick is just a willow stick that's been kiln fired to a high degree so it becomes all charcoal, and you just brush it on. So you know a willow tree, right, with the long branches that just hang low. Well, I guess they cut them, burn them, without oxygen, so they char, and they turn into a charcoal stick from a willow tree, is what I think they are. And they're super duper soft, and they're super great for background colors. This whole video today, you're going to see me, now that you know what a willow stick is, you're going to see me using them at various places to put down background colors. They're incredibly forgiving. You can smudge them and almost get the paper back to plain white. Not perfectly. Even with an eraser, you can't quite get it back to perfect white with a willow stick, but you can get it pretty close. So again, I often use that white charcoal to put down for any highlights that I really don't want to get too smudged over, because I like to play around, and that charcoal stick's going to get smudgy everywhere. And Q-tips. All right, so Q-tips is another smudging tool I haven't talked about yet, and I use them all the time. Q-tips are also important. I mean, God must have invented the person who invented Q-tips, not to stick them in your ear, as every doctor will tell you you shouldn't do it, but to do art. That's absolutely why they're designed. Okay, also on my list of things to talk about is camera usage. So this whole video, all this raw footage is done on an old point and click non-HD camera I got from a thrift store shortly after coming out of prison. And it had this problem where if the video was over 40 minutes or so, it would just glitch out and you'd lose the whole footage. You'd lose the whole 45-minute video. So every now and then in this footage, you're going to see things just jumping to done. And that's because I lost a little bit of footage. That's just the way it is. But it's not the way it is in this sense. I have learned the value of quality tools. All right? I have lived in prison where I had to do without, and I have lived outside of prison thinking I still had to do without. And now I know if I want something, I'm going to get it. And if I don't have it right now, it's because I'm a poor problem solver and I haven't solved that problem yet. But I'm committed to it now, okay? Things are changing in my life. Change is so wonderful. And I'm starting to realize the value of having infrastructure, like a web page, like YouTube, like sharing my stuff, and also quality quality equipment. I've got a good, smartphones are so great for cameras. I'm going to be doing probably a lot of the footage of my current ongoing project, Follow the White Rabbit. I'll likely be doing a lot of that with just a smartphone, but that's all it took. Now, when I take the actual picture of Follow the White Rabbit, I'll probably be getting some better lighting, whatever I need to get it done right. And it'll just be an investment into my future. That's something you can know. In prison, I didn't even think about that, because there's really not much investment into your future you can do there. You only have one box, and you can't. Anyways, all right, we'll move on. Probably one of the most important things to talk about, and one of the most interesting tools that I have here, is the desk itself. You can see the gray on the left right there. That is the desk showing through. Now that is actually a piece of laminate board cut to the shape of the desk and then put onto the surface of the desk. It's an old antique desk that I'm using right now, and let me tell you about it. It's a 1953 Hamilton drafting table, okay? And it's double-sided. On one side, it's got a secretary's desk, and on the other side, it's a drafting desk. And I got some pictures. I'm going to show them to you now. I can't see them right just as I'm talking, but they'll be up there for you to see them, and I can remember them. So, first of all, this desk is a wonderful beast, and it takes up a huge chunk of my studio apartment, and it's worth every inch that it takes. This is my main beast. This is my Cadillac, all right? And we go places together. This desk does everything, and she's got prominence. I think it's the right word. So check this out. I got her off Craigslist. I was still living in a group home, all right? So I'd gotten out of prison, and I had my landing pad from prison was a group home, and it was also my launch pad into the apartment I'm living in now. And I was there and I bought this piece of furniture, and it was too big, and I kind of broke some rules by buying a piece of furniture that big, living in a group home, but they were okay with it, and I moved out soon after. This desk is a beast, and I bought it from a guy who, off Craigslist, and it turns out he is the Marvel artist who does quite a bit of work on Ghost Rider. I'm not here to give first and last names, but his first name is Javier. Really cool guy. Had a great conversation with him. This desk has been used to create Marvel comics. Isn't that neat? And here I am doing my own thing on top of it. In fact, I just might link him to this video so he knows what his desk is doing right now. Because I know sometimes I think, like my cats that have run away, what are you doing on your cat adventures? Well, what is a desk doing on its desk adventure? Because this is a 1953 Hamilton, and it has had adventures long before Javier, long after me is going to have them. It is a beast, and it will never die if you take care of it. That's the kind of equipment I like to do my work on. Okay, and let's talk a little bit more about it too, because this is funny. This is so funny. All right, let me show you a picture here. It's in a movie. Not my desk, but this style, exact style desk, is in the movie Hidden Figures, NASA movie from early 2000s, mid 2000s, whenever. About the time I was in prison is when this movie came out. And in the back of the scene where they are doing orthogonalization algorithms, you see a man on the drafting side, and then another man on the secretary side of this desk. And there's Kevin Costner and Dweeby Boy from the Big Bang Theory. He's here too. Sheldon, whatever his real name is, I don't know. Um, all these in the famous people, they're all in this room as NASA is doing the orthogonalization algorithms, aka the telemetry data, right? The stuff they don't give us, the stuff that they lost, that NASA lost, that got them to the moon, all that data that got lost. Yeah, well, they calculated it according to this movie on my desk. Isn't that funny? And so, yeah, I've got the desk upon which NASA did the impossible math that they lost, that cannot be reproduced, says Don Petit. Anyways, I've got that desk according to the movie Hidden Figures. And, okay, another thing, too, about tools. I got a lot of tools, and it's an important thing to go through these. You with me still? I only got like one more on my list here, and then we're going to talk about fear, drawing for God, and how I learned to draw in prison. But, all right, so on the bottom of the picture right now, you'll see the source photo that I'm drawing from, and it's a reprint. I'm sorry, it's a Xerox black and white print on 8.5 by 11 typing paper, taped together, full size of the drawing. But it's not a great source image to draw from if I want to do photorealism. I recommend getting a computer screen and having your original photo on that computer screen. You can zoom in, zoom out, see the colors, contrast it if you need to. I got to one point during this drawing where I kind of had a computer screen close by, but it wasn't set up right. Set it up right. That's my goal for Follow the White Rabbit. My next commission I'm working on right now, I'm going to set up that computer screen, and I'm going to have a much better source photo. And the reason why that's important for this picture is because I said already, I get kind of muddy in places. And by muddy, what I mean is the contrast between the blacks and whites do not work sufficiently to make the picture look three-dimensional. A lot of these clovers are going to look two-dimensional. Even on the final picture hanging on my wall, it still looks two-dimensional because I didn't get the contrast of the blacks and whites, and some of it got muddy where it just smudged in too much. Though, as you see, when I add the blacks, these clovers start to pop. Just watch and see it happen. And, yeah, the blacks make the clovers pop. But, at any rate, a better source image on a camera would have helped me better. Or on a computer screen would have helped me better, I think, in that respect. Also, as I said, this was a 10-day project, and I was rushing to do twice as much as I normally did in 30 days. So, lessons learned. I don't want to rush clover again. I want it to look right. I want to play right, and I want to have a good product when I'm done. So that's enough about that picture. We're, what, 13 minutes in? Okay, good. You know what? I was going to do this all in one take, but I do like to listen to myself, make sure I don't miss anything. I'll be right back. I'm back. And now I want to change the subject to how I learned to draw in prison. What part is this? Part 3 of that story? All right, I believe that's correct. So, last time I ended off talking about who you drawing for. Kind of like who you working for. I made that comparison. I had heard someone say that you can work for money, you can work for yourself, and you can work for God. And I think the same is true of art. And boy, did I learn a lot about that in art, in prison, because of all the hustles I did, all the drawings. Man, I had lists that were so long because, all right, so I'm not a salesman, and I did not put my prices right. They were way too cheap, and everyone was coming to me, and they were getting the best art ever. And I was even putting people out of business, and that was not my intention. The card makers, I mean, there's people in prison that just color on a card for like 3 stamps. And I was doing photorealism for like 4 stamps. I mean, come on now. So I was not marketing myself right, and I was overdoing myself, but I was learning lessons. I was learning hard lessons in the petri dish of prison. So at any rate, I'm learning all about the 3 stages of doing art: for money, for yourself, and for God. And in the last video, I talked about how I used art to cope and then burned out. And that's the second phase of doing art. doing art for yourself. It works for a while. I produced a lot of beautiful art. You can do it from time to time. I just don't know that you can do it day to day to day to day to day. For me, it burnt out, and I don't, because if I am my own battery, I will burn out. But if I make God my battery, well then, I mean, He's infinite, right? That's what I'm talking about. If I'm going to do art, I want to do it till the day I die. And that knuckle busted up in this photo, and the KFC burns all over my arms in the previous footage, and my left arm right now broken. I sure would like to use these hands, Lord, as long as I can. Help me not to break him anymore. My goodness, what the heck? Okay, so yeah, God has given a gift. Use it, right? I mean, that's the basic point I'm trying to make, and my perspective is Christian on that, and I'm sharing my perspective with you. Whatever yours might be, you're going to learn mine, and it's that God has given me a wonderful gift of drawing, and that is surprisingly hard to accept. Okay, so a word from Scripture that's a really good word to remember shows up in 1st or 2nd Timothy. Sober judgment. Cannot remember the Greek word. Doesn't really matter. Translated, sober judgment. Think of yourselves with sober judgment. Okay, not too big-headed, not too small-headed. Just see yourself exactly as you are. Narcissists, right? They see themselves too highly. But if you have spent all your days hating and shaming yourself, having simple, sober judgment of who you are can feel like narcissism. Man, I was in prison, county jail still, drawing these pictures, never having done photorealism before, discovering I had a talent for it, training it and perfecting it, and I was blowing my own socks off because I had no sober judgment of myself. I was so full of shame that I did that I got to prison for, right? So, at any rate, sober judgment. I have a gift from God to draw. I learned to draw in prison, but as I said, I've been doing this since a kid, and it was just there. And for a long time, I took a lot of things in my life for granted. And that's a quote from someone who knows who said that. I took a lot of things for granted, and including my gifts. I mean, they just kind of sat there unused. Think of all the stuff I could have drawn. That's not good. Let's just stay in the present. But if you want to go down that horrible path of ifs and whens, you can. I'm not going to. Let's stay in the present. Right now, I have a gift, and I'm going to use that gift. And I'm going to draw. I got one broken hand, but it's not my drawing hand. Thank the Lord for that. I'm building a construction. We're going to draw this sucker, man. Follow the White Rabbit. It is coming along. You got to stick around. It's going to be great. It's such an interesting picture I got going on. I'll show you the construction. It's coming up next with my hand healing. I'll put some photos together on another video for you. Again, drawing for God. It's, if you draw for other people, you'll make money. If you draw for yourself, you'll be able to cope. If you draw for God, I think that's what playing is. I really do. When I say art is play, I think the only way you can do that is when you simply accept that this is your gift and you use it. And if you have any type of desire for art, you probably have that gift. Now, when I was a kid, my parents got all us kids piano lessons. And my sister, oh boy, she's a beautiful piano player today. My older sister and my younger sister, they're both incredible piano players. They took that gift of lessons and ran with it, and they loved music. I had piano lessons, and I ran away from that piano, man. I'd sit there and just stare at the keys and just plunk, and walk away when the buzzer rang 10 minutes and be like, oh, man, I'm done. It wasn't my gift, and I forced it, and then I just gave up on it. And then people continued to force it, and I continued to give up on it, and finally it was over. And I thank the Lord for that. It was a passive solution to solving problems. Again, problem-solving problem. Yeah, I didn't step up and say, I can't do this piano. I just let it fizzle out and fade. Yeah, don't do that. But in the long run, I can laugh at my change and say that I did not have that gift, and I did not have that desire. I have no desire in music. I like to sing silly songs. Most people tell me to stop when I do. So let me just draw. That's where my gift is, and that's where I get to play, because this is my life on this earth. And well, what's going to get in the way of me playing? Well, you know the answer to that. It's fear. Fear always is what gets in the way of just living life and enjoying things. And we're 2021, right? 2020. Y'all get your eyes open yet? Y'all see what's going on in this world? You see the nonsense, the fear fulcrums they want us all sitting on? Again, the world loves to lie to you because they want you on a teeter-totter whose fulcrum is a lie. So that you just keep on falling deeper down into the deeper spirals of lies and fear and nonsense, man. I mean, WWE, pre-written, scripted, is a pretty good comparison to what everything is that you see coming out of our government and our politics and our news. It's just WWE, man. And maybe it's not. Maybe it's real. Maybe it's something you really ought to be concerned about. Maybe you should be afraid about that thing you saw. No, man, you shouldn't. Let me give you a story, just to talk about the fear that we got to get away from to play. All right, so I have been deep into politics. You can find more about that at my webpage, malmagazine.com. Click on spaceship part number 0017, spaceship part 17, for my thoughts on Q. That's a political letter. You should know about it. If you don't, go look at it. I was deep into politics, man. Deep into politics. Relying on it for my hopes and my fears. And it's all nonsense, man. It's absolute, utter nonsense. But, okay, so the point I'm trying to make is about fear. The fulcrums, right. You can get stuck in spirals of fear that do absolutely no good at all. And finally, I was done with it. I had to get rid of it. And I cut off all politics, all news, all podcasts that talked anything about current events. I shut off until I snuck a little bit in because, I got to have that midnight snack, right? Okay, so it was difficult to shut it off completely. I couldn't. It took a while. I had to stop myself from all the secret little snacks of politics I had to get in my weaning off phase. I'm finally off it. I just don't even care anymore. But during that time when I was not listening to politics but still wanting to get a little midnight snack of it, I was cleaning this factory break room. And there was this person who had their phone dialed into a local news of some type, and it was playing a story about a crash that had killed 6 people. And I said, oh, holy hell, what is this horrible national tragedy that has gotten the whole world in an uproar because of 6 people dying in a crash? What happened? And I kept on listening because I wanted to listen. And I heard that it wasn't world news at all. It was local to Springfield, Missouri news. And then I realized, oh, come on, this is local news and I don't even know about it. I didn't even know about it until the news brought it up. I'm in the town it happened where 6 people died in some horrible crash. And the only reason I knew about it is because the news told me. They weren't even any 6 people I knew. The news that was local still wasn't local enough. But it was there to give me fear. And it was there to give my heart all kinds of reasons to be afraid. 6 people died. What the snot, man? If I want to play, I can't fill my head full of fear. And that's the devil's tricks. He will want to fill your head full of fear. And today, my head was full of fear. And that's why it's a good topic for these last 4 or 5 minutes here. In my last video, I told you I was going out to the lake. Man, I went out to the lake last night. Oh, I went fishing with a friend. Oh, man, we had a great time. I caught a bunch of fish. Oh, man, and then my head filled full of fear. That's just the way it is. But I don't want it to be that way. That's just the way it is a statement of fear. No, I'm fighting. I mean, excuse my language. I don't want fear in my life anymore. And there's so many fulcrums, all right? There's not just the fulcrums that politics put you on, okay? So if you're going for Trump or poop my pants Biden, you're on a fulcrum. But if you're listening to gossip in your neighborhood, one person's story over another, you're on a fulcrum. And if you're listening to the lies inside your own head, you're on a fulcrum. And I was out fishing last night. I had a great time, but afterwards I started getting myself on a fulcrum. A fulcrum of fear, lies inside my own head. Nothing to do with politics, nothing to do with anything else. And what utter nonsense. If God has made me to be on this earth and given me the gift of drawing, I'm going to do that. And curse word any fear that wants to show up and get in my way. I mean, I'm drawing on a 1953 Hamilton desk that was, according to the movie Hidden Figures, used to calculate the numbers to get to the moon. And, well, that's just a lie of NASA, but Truth in movies, lies in the news, right? It's a fancy desk used by a Marvel artist to make Ghost Rider. I mean, go buy his books. This is an amazing desk. And look what this amazing picture is. My fingers, I cannot believe that they do this. Busted knuckles, burnt wrists, busted left hand. God's given me gifts. Let's use them. And the most important word I just spoke was the plural of gift. Gifts. God has given me gifts. Let me not forget that. I can get lost in the weeds of these weeds that I'm drawing and think that my only gift is drawing, but that's not the only gift, right? I'm not using it to cope no more. I'm using it to play, right? I don't need to escape the world. I'm part of it, even though my place is in heaven. You know, all that. Okay, whatever. Fear will keep me from playing with all the gifts that God has given me. Let me show you a picture. This is something I made. It's called an adventure pants patch. And I gave it to my coworker Chelsea, fellow janitor, when she was in a rough place, and she appreciates it. It's a good gift. She keeps it on her. Well, sometimes I forget to put my adventure pants patch on, and I'll just sit on the fulcrum, the teeter-totter. It's so much fun just sitting on the teeter-totter of fear. I go up and down and up and down. Who needs to live life when you're on a teeter-totter? Man, come on now. Oh, my goodness, that is so bad. I got to get off those teeter-totters of fear and just live my life. Prison, all the guards, oh man, they taught me how authority can use fear to get me to do what they want. And I'm a Lutheran, and we Lutherans ought to know how fear is used to get people to do what you want. And sometimes you got to revolt, or you got to rebel. But we don't use those words as Lutherans. We say reform. So Martin Luther reformed the church. He didn't rebel or revolt. No. He revolted and he rebelled. We just use a different R word for it. Look, man, sometimes when you're being exasperated by those in authority, they aren't showing you love. They're putting you on a teeter-totter of fear. They're lying to you. Man, when I was deep into politics, I knew the government lied, but I thought they were doing it to help me. Man, no, they're lying to me. I am their enemy. I thought they were lying to my enemies to help me, but they were lying to me because I am their enemy. All right, different topic, different day. But realizing that got me off the fulcrum. I don't have to be afraid no more. There's so much to this life. So much to do. Get those adventure pants on. Pull them up. Lock your belt in tight, roll up your sleeves, the cuffs on your... There it is. Look at that beautiful picture. Look at the adventure I went through to go to draw that picture. What other adventures are forward? You know, God puts them there. Let's go to them. Let's do it. And, yeah, there it is. Beautiful picture. All right, like I said, I'm going to have to finish drawing in part 4, where you're going to see the ladybug drawn, what footage I got of it. Some of it got a little bit messed up, but we got it. I'll show it to you. You have a great day. God's blessings to you. Bye.